Are you ready to find out what play styles work best for each position? I've been meaning to do this video for a while and haven't got time for it. But with FUT birthday coming up, on the previous screen it looks like you're going to be able to choose more play styles for FUT birthday players, so you might need this information soon. So I'm going to start with right back. Now, one thing you'll see common, especially for defenders, I like to have quick step on all of them. That means from a standstill position, they can get going faster, when they're off the ball. And then I like to have relentless for two reasons. One, it means they're going to have more stamina and recover more after halftime. But it also means when you do R1 pressure, they will last longer when they're pressuring the opponent than if they didn't have relentless. The next thing, besides those two, is intercept, especially for the right back and left back, because a lot of people like to do through balls and pass long balls down the side on the ground. So intercept is really good for that. What anticipate is good for is not getting called for fouls most of the time when you do tackles. It keeps the ball closer to you when you do tackles, but without that, more often you'll end up getting called for the fouls. It's even more important on center backs because they're usually in the box more often. It depends on how you use them. If you're going to use them for kind of like a wing back and run up the side with them, then you might want rapid and technical if you're going to run down there and score. If not, if they're purely defensive, then you don't really need rapid and technical back there. So it depends on if you're going to do more of a wing back style or just a full back and stay back there. For passing, I like ping pass the best for right backs and left backs. You hold R1 and do A for driven passes, and you can pass it up. Like her, she's on the right side, so she'd pass it up the right side to my right middle, because I usually don't play with wingers. But if you play with wingers, it works the same way. Hold R1, press A, and ping pass gets the ball up there faster. The reason long ball is also good is if they're doing a high press and you're pinned back there, but you still want to get it to your winger or your right middle or left middle, then you'd want long ball, so that way you could pass it over their head. And if you can get it, if you trigger a run with L1, so your right middle or right wing, they start running, so there's a further distance between them and the defender, then you can hold L1, R1, and press X to do a driven lob over the top of them, and it'll get it to your player better. So these are the two that are good for the passing for a right back or for a left back, either way. Some of them are the same on both sides. I know some people like incisive. I absolutely do not like incisive back there. It tends to be a far less accurate pass. I know it'll pass it slightly in front of them, but a lot of times it's less accurate and it gets intercepted when you're trying to do that down the side. For me, it's better with your middle players to have incisive, but your backs, ping pass, and long ball are better. Intercept for them. And if you can have bruiser, that's a good thing. That really helps when they're running down the line and you want to just shove them off the ball. The reason I have not put it on Sheila, even though I have one available, is because the one I have available, that Evo, it would up her strength and it would take away explosive acceleration, which I do not want to happen, because explosive acceleration is faster than all of them at the start. Lengthy is only faster if you've been holding R2 and you're running in a long straight line. But at the start, then explosive is the fastest. And that's the main mistake people make with their defenders. A lot of people that post videos recommend having lengthy, and it is absolutely the worst thing to have, especially on their center backs and stuff. That's why you'll see high level people with top rated teams They might score a lot, but they concede lots of goals, and that's why, because they usually end up with lengthy center backs or defenders, and when someone's coming near them, they can't move that fast, because you're not going to be running in a long straight line to get them. You need to be agile and quick, and that's how you stop the people advancing, especially when they try to do spins and all that stuff to get around you. If you're lengthy, you're not going to move that quick. So that's the only reason. If I could get her bruiser without the Evo adding to her strength, then I absolutely would, because bruiser is great on your backs and on your middles and wingers. Okay, so on to the center backs. Now you'll see some things in common here. The quick step, relentless, yes, I want those on all my defensive line in the back. Every single one of them. The bruiser's always great back there too. The intercept, if you can get a plus play style, that's even better. And the anticipate, it's really important for center backs because most of the time they're in your goalie box. So you really do not want to foul there, because then you'll concede a penalty kick. So if you can get anticipate, whether it's base or plus, try to make sure it goes on your center backs. And then once they have it, you can add it to your other players. Block is good for center backs too. The intercept, that's more for when they're passing. Block is more for when they're shooting. Intercept can still stop the shots, but block stops the shots more, and the intercept stops passing more. Now, if you're wondering why I also have Tiki Taka on her, that's because if I decide to do 4-1-4-1 and play her in CDM role, which you can see she can play, then Tiki Taka would be good for that. But if you're only playing them as a center back, you do not need Tiki Taka. And if you have to choose between these passing play styles, long ball is the passing play style of choice for center backs, because they're more in the middle. And usually if you need a passing play style, it's because you're getting pinned back, so you need it to go over the top to get it away from your goal as quick as you can. It's great to have both. And if you're going to have a versatile player that can also do CDM, you might want Tiki Taka. But if they're just playing center back, you do not need Tiki Taka. Long ball is number 1. Pinged is number 2. And then, yeah, these right here, same thing. You need those. And then here's my other center back, but they still have the same needs as the other one. And as you can see, I prioritize long ball first for the passing one, since I can only have 8 play styles right now. That's the one I'd choose for a center back. And then jockey is really good too. It's the same concept as having explosive for your acceleration. When you want them to respond quick, especially since people have agile strikers sometimes, whether it's that Wilson or Pina or whoever it is that you tend to face a lot. If you have the jockey playstyle when you're doing L2, not only do you move faster left to right, but when you let go of it and try to tackle them, or you try to press R2 to chase them if they're a little bit out of your range, having jockey means you can respond a lot quicker. Same reason that I have the quick step, so that way when you press it, they advance faster. Those big center backs that are rated really high, the reason they're terrible and they concede lots of goals is they usually do not have quick step, and a lot of them do not have jockey, and on top of that they have lengthy acceleration, and that means they can have great stats and they're garbage. Now for the left back, of course, it's similar to the right back. If you're just doing full back, then just copy everything I said for the right back. If, however, you're going to play them as a wing back, which when I play wing back, I tend to do it on the left side, then that's why I want slide tackle. And the reason why is a lot of times she's advanced up the field. So then if the opponent gets back there, she has to chase him down really fast in order to stop him on that side. And that's when slide tackle comes in handy, when you're actually chasing them down the field from behind, trying to catch up and stop them. Otherwise, if it wasn't for that, everything will be the same as how I said for the right back. And jockey's great too for there, especially for the defensive part. Reason I like rapid, because I do attack with wingbacks sometimes. Okay, now onto the middles. This one, of course, you need it for attacking. You can have them on defense. There's a different setting. Which one is it? It's the wide midfielder. If you need them for more defense, you can set them to that. And then there's a setting where they'll like kind of go in on the side. Then you might want more defensive playstyles. But if you're going to mostly be attacking with them, again, you want quick step, so they start off faster. But then you also want rapid. And that's because when you're on the ball, you can advance faster when you use rapid. And what you want to do, you keep pressing R2. You don't hold it. Each time you're about to make contact with the ball, you press it again. And then right before you make contact, you release it and press it again and keep doing it. And that will keep activating rapid. And that makes you advance down the field faster than you would have you just held it. And that is also why I do not like lengthy on the left and right middles. As you can see, she has controlled because there's strength and stuff. So she can't have explosive. But if you are lengthy, you need to just hold the trigger. Because if you watch, like play a game of Rush or something where you only control one player, start at one end if you have a lengthy player and hold the right trigger for your speed boost and start running and pay attention to your player. Maybe record it if you're able to. And then the speed they start running at, then all of a sudden it'll switch. If you count like 1001, I think it's around 1002, then all of a sudden they'll switch and you can see them. They will move differently and suddenly become faster with lengthy. Okay, that it only works when you hold right trigger. It does not work if you keep releasing it and pressing it again. Then it resets it so the lengthy part won't activate and your player is actually slower. Well, in order for rapid to work correctly, you have to keep releasing it and then pressing it again just before contact with the ball, which that completely defeats the purpose of having lengthy. So, in my opinion, you do not want lengthy on your outside players, the left middle, right middle, like that, especially if you're going to do rapid. She is the fastest player I have. I have players with Quick Step Plus, Rapid Plus, 95 or higher pace, and they are not as fast, regardless what the stats say and everything else. But they are lengthy, and they are slower. Now, I don't have it yet, but ideally for left middle or right middle, I prefer pinged pass. That's my number one choice for a passing play style. And the reason why is it gets it in there a lot faster. The driven passes, hold R1, press A. It gets it in there a lot faster. Now again, I know incisive that a lot of people like that passes it ahead of them so they can continue running, whereas a regular pass with the A button, which is what this does, just faster, passes to them, not ahead of them. But it is more accurate. If you've had experiences where you're trying to do the through balls with incisive, whether you have it or not, and you're pressing Y, and say there's a defender, and your player's on one side, and you try to pass, and every so often it keeps passing to the opposite side where only the opponent's player can get the ball, and your player has no chance because their body's in between, and it's passing it to the wrong side, and you have no control over it. That's what happens with through balls and incisive lots of times. But if you do it this way, yes, it won't pass it ahead of them to let them keep running as fast as they could have, but it will pass it to them and be a lot more accurate. That's why I prefer ping pass from the outside. The Tiki Taka, it's good if you're going to do, since she's on my left side a lot of times, if you want to play a wing back and you want to pass it back and forth between your middle and left back or right back if you play the opposite, either way. and you want to do it where they keep one advances and then the other, and you're passing it back and forth, the crisscross, to advance past the defenders. If you want to do that, then Tiki Taka comes in handy. Otherwise, if you don't play like that with them, then you don't need it. But ping pass is always good for them. Now, as far as the shooting ones go, it depends on which foot they use. She's right-footed, and I play her on the left side. So that means she can do finesse shots with her strong foot from that side. So that works out well. Now, Atenea is versatile. I have her 5-star on each. She can play either side she wants. So she can do it either way. It doesn't matter. But finesse is good. I also use her for corners. If you've seen any of my corners, I don't know how many I've posted that show them. But anyways, I pass it short, and I have her assigned to the top of the box with finesse plus. So then I just try to get it to her. The person that comes over to receive the short pass, it's better for them to have pinged so they can launch it to her faster before the defense can respond. And then you'll be inside that tiny little circle at the top of the goalie box, and then try a finesse shot from there. I'd say I have about a 40% success rate in doing that. And then low driven, the reason low drivens are good, it's not necessarily that it's more accurate or more likely to go in than finesse. The thing is, it's easier to do while you're running down the field. Because if you're running and there's a defender really close to you chasing you, finesse is slower. That's the main problem with finesse, is they are slower shots. Whereas low driven, you can be running, still holding R2. You're not moving your finger up to R1 in order to try to activate the finesse when you press shoot. Instead, you can just leave it on the speed boost, which is R2, and you can just press B for a little while to gain the power, and then tap it again to activate the low driven. The whole time you're pressing R2, keeping your pace as fast as your player can go. You're not slowing down in order to do finesse. Whereas then a lot of times, that split second, that's usually like maybe a third to a half of a second difference, makes all the difference whether you get that shot off at goal or whether it's barely blocked by a defender. Now, Gamechanger's really good. Some of the people that post a lot have barely been figuring that out after all this time, and they're starting to promote it. That has been good the whole time, and I've had it since the beginning. That's one of the things I'll talk about with my striker when I get to there. But that's for outside the foot. So for her, since she's right-footed, if I played her on the right side, then you'd do Gamechanger more. So if you had a left-footed one, play them on the left side. If you can get Gamechanger, that works. And all you have to do is press the B button, the shoot button. That's it. You don't have to activate it like a Travella in last year's game and hold L2 and all that stuff. None of that. You just press B, just normal, like a normal shot, but it's angled so their strong foot, it's going to hit the outside, and that will curve in like a finesse shot does. But the reason these are actually better than finesse shots is because you do not have to slow down. You can continue running fast, just like how I was explaining how you use low-driven shots. There's a defender close, you don't want to slow down at all, but you still want to shoot. You can do that with Gamechanger. You can't do it with finesse. You have to slow down a little bit, because you even have to switch which button your fingers are on and stuff, too. And you have to stop sprinting for it to be more accurate. These you do not. You can be at full sprint and do these Gamechangers, and they work great. And so all the things that apply there would apply to the right side if you're using them as an attacking player. Just everything's reversed. Over there, if they're right foot, they could use Gamechanger. If their strong foot's left foot, they could use finesse. Same kind of stuff. Now on her, I do tend to use her more defensively on the right side. That's why I added Bruiser Plus on Ona over there. If you want them to help defend a lot, and you want to take control of them yourself to defend, then bruiser is really valuable, whether it's left middle or right middle. Whichever side you like to use more defensively, that side should have bruiser when you get it. But you still want the quick step, the relentless, the same stuff. As you can see, I have like slide tackle, jockey, anticipate, those kind of things, because I play more defensively on that side. And then, same thing here for the shots if you want to shoot. And then here, normally I have Sosa as it cam if I play 4-4-1-1. But I just wanted to show this so that way they're in the right position, so I have someone with something good in each spot while I'm talking about it. Okay, so for center middles, if you're in this setup 4-4-1-1, normally I play 4-4-2 anymore. I just switched it back to this because it's more common, so it might help more people. As far as passing play styles, the tiki-taka and pinged, those are the best ones to have in my opinion for center middle. Incisive is good if you want to do the through balls. Again, there will be some inaccurate times when it goes on the opposite side and only the opponent can get it. That's why I tend to do these more. Just straight passes with the A button. And you can do driven passes. Even tiki-taka can be driven passes where you hold R1 and press A, and then the other player, before they even touch it, you hold R1 again, press A, and you can do tiki-taka with driven passes. What I find though is each additional pass you do with tiki-taka, it gets less accurate and weaker each time. So say you have 3 players and player A is the first one to pass. They pass to B, and if B you instantly pass, so the first time it makes contact with them, they're passing, and it uses tiki-taka for that, you'll have great accuracy if you do that. But if you try to do instant passes and go A, B, C, B, like that, multiple times, too many times, it starts getting less and less accurate, even with play styles. So just be aware of that. But pinged with that tends to work great, in my opinion. And I do, well, she don't have it either. My other ones have it. It's down here on the subs bench. They don't have full chemistry with them. Now, for me, for center middle or cam, she has perfect passing playstyle setup. I don't care for long ball from there. That's more of a thing from the back of the field or the far sides. Whip pass is completely useless if you're inside. If you're the center middles or cam, there's no real purpose for that. That's more for your wingers or left or right middle if you run them up fast. But your center middles, that's just a waste to put those on there. The inventive, the outside the foot pass, that's more useful than most people think, because what is she? Well, it doesn't really matter, right or left foot. So what that does, say she's advancing in the center and someone passes from their right. Well, instead of having to stop it or make sure that her left foot is the one that receives it before you can use tiki-taka and instant pass and all that, if you have inventive for outside the foot pass, it doesn't matter which direction the ball is coming from, you don't have to take that extra step with your player in order for it to hit the inside of their foot to make a pass. So whichever side's closer, that's how they can pass. So the end result is that they pass faster. It's faster response time. That's what that does, because your player does not have to reposition their feet. So those 4 are ideal for the center middle if you can. Yes, I do like doing direct passes more, but if you want to do through passes sometimes, I wouldn't even do it without the incisive passing playstyle, because they're so inaccurate without it. But even with it, there's no guarantee. But anyways, those are the good ones for in the center. Whether you're a cam or a center middle, either way, those work great. Again, the quick step, relentless, you're going to see that. I like having those on everything. And then technical, I like that, so they're more maneuverable, especially in the center of the field if you're going to be attacking with them. If they're used as defense, like say you have it on center middle holding or something, you might want different play styles. But if you're going to be attacking with them, technical does come in handy. Now, right now it's limited to 8 playstyles. In the future, when it goes up, first touch is definitely something to look into. What that does is when they pass it to you, instead of instantly passing it to someone else, you can instantly take off running. So it means when the ball touches you, you take off. Without it, the ball touches you, you have to take a step or readjust, then you can take off. I know it doesn't sound like a lot of difference, but a lot of times it can be the difference whether the defender barely catches up to you or barely misses you. Let me see. Yeah, like her, I use her as more defensive in the middle. So I have her on box to box. That's how I have her set up, because I use her a lot more for defense. That's why she has the intercept on there and bruiser. That way I can chase people down and shove them off the ball a lot easier. If you're going to use them more for offense, you might not need bruiser as much, but make sure you have the passing playstyles, and you might want some shooting playstyles. So it depends. See, she has one shooting playstyle, but I didn't focus on the others. She had a lot of these already when I got her too. But then her, I use her a lot more as offense. I still use her as defense too. But since I use her a lot as offense, then that's why she has the shooting ones. Now the dead ball, you only need that on one player. When your entire team out there, only one player needs that. And it's mainly for free kicks or penalties. Even though it doesn't list it for penalties, it does affect them because the ball is not moving. And then for free kicks, it matters. So even though she has the 86 free kick, that's pretty good actually. But with that dead ball, then it makes it a lot better. And then the curve too, if you want a high curve attribute, so you can curve it around the wall into the corner. A lot of people know that you're going to try that, so if they move the goalkeeper, they'll try to defend that. You can curve it and just try to put it in the outside one, way away from the wall, and the goalkeeper's probably going to move the opposite way behind the wall anyways, because most people curve it there. But her, she has the same thing, finesse, low driven, Gamechanger. But I put Gamechanger Plus on her a long time ago when it was possible. And then she's right footed, so I hit it from the right side a lot of times. But that's really accurate, and because you don't slow down like you do for finesse shots, you can be running full speed and activate that Gamechanger shot. So it's really accurate. And then you can check out the goals and assists and all that. And yeah, she does get a ton of assists because she's in the middle and has the passing play styles. Okay, and then this one for a cam, same thing, the pinged and tiki taka, but try to get inventive too on the cam. That would be the third most important over incisive in my opinion, just because like I said, the response time is faster. You're going to gain like a half a second or something. They don't have to grab it with the inside of their foot to pass. They can just instantly pass it from any direction it comes from them. You can also do the back heel passes and stuff with that. So sometimes that comes in handy. And then for the striker, I don't have everything that I need for the striker yet. Her rating got higher before she got enough of the play styles. But even her gold one comes with Gamechanger and low driven finesse and stuff like that, which that's one of the things that I really like. I'd say probably at least half, maybe a little more than half of all the goals I have with her is from Gamechanger. And then when does Tiki Taka come into play for strikers? In 4-4-1-1 it comes into play less, unless if you put your cam on shadow striker so they're up there real close to your striker. If your cam is on playmaker or classic 10, once you pass it to your striker, you're probably not going to be passing it backwards to them. But if you play 4-4-2 like I've been doing, or some people do that mushroom shaped one that's, what is it, 4-2-2-2 or something like that. Anything to where you're going to have two strikers, or you're going to have the cams advanced way up there on shadow striker and they're right next to him, then Tiki Taka comes in handy for your striker. If you're just doing normal 4-4-1-1, and especially if your cam's just going to be on classic 10 or something like that, to where they stay back and they're not advanced up there, then once your striker has it, you're not really passing it to people. So it depends on which formation for how useful that is. But out of all the passing play styles for a striker, that one is the one that's more useful. Now, of course, quick step. Every single player out there in your outfield should have quick step. And then first touch, you want first touch on your striker. That way they can, as soon as the ball touches them, you can instantly take off or maneuver or whatever you need to do. The striker's the most important one on your whole team to have first touch. That playstyle matters more for them than anybody. The rapid, I like that because you can keep tapping the R2 and advancing and stuff. I didn't have rapid plus for quite a while. So I got to, level 28 of the season pass or something. I was able to get it, and it's definitely a noticeable difference on her. The exact same pace she had before, and she had base rapid, but rapid plus, it's really noticeable. And then technical, either base or plus. I do like the plus though. It's noticeable too. The way I tend to play, a lot of times I'll do L2 if they're right on me to hold them off, if you have a striker that's strong enough to do that. Or you can use L1 to try to maneuver around them. But say you're doing L2 and they're like stuck on your back. Once your player shoves them a little bit away from them, how the animation, at first they're stuck to you, and then your player will put their arm in there and start elbowing them and shoving them away. Once they do that, so you get a little bit of distance, then you can let go of L2, and right then you'd press R1 to activate your technical dribbling. That's when you can do the half circle around them to maneuver away. If they're not stuck to you and you're facing them front to front, that's when you'd want to do L1 a little bit to move to one side or the other. Sometimes, like, say you're going to move to the left, just do it a little bit and then move back the other way, and then it'll wrong foot them. And then when they try to respond, like say you move to the left with L1 and then a little bit to the right, so then they're moving back to the right, then you use R1 with technical and go back around to the left. Or you can reverse all those things. Either way, the technical plus really helps with that. But these things right here, these are the ideal ones that I really like on the strikers. They seem to be the most useful. I only have 6 playstyles on her right now. I would want precision header. I know most people do not care for it, and she's not a tall player. But if you like to run anyone down the sides and do a driven pass in or a whipped pass, either way, like say you have Basha or something that has whip pass plus and you like to get that in there, if your players are fast enough so you advance beyond the opponent, your height no longer matters because there's nobody there blocking you. All that matters is accuracy to get it into the net instead of hitting it on the top of their head and it goes over the back of the net. So that's why I would want that one. If you don't play that way, you're not going to run straight up the sides and do a whip pass in, then you don't need precision header. But if you do play that way, then it can be useful. Other than that, something like Enforcer or Press Proven, those could come in handy. And if you want to be able to keep your striker in there the whole game, then Relentless, so that way they'll recover more after halftime. And the last thing will be the goalkeeper. So maybe my set of playstyles looks different than a lot of them. Of course, everyone wants all the goalkeeper playstyles. It's great to have all of them. Now, which ones should you choose if you can only have one playstyle plus? If you have a shorter goalkeeper, far reach plus matters more because they can dive farther. If you have a taller goalkeeper, so they might not be able to respond as well to low drivens, then footwork plus would matter more. Personally, the next one I want to get as a playstyle plus after far reach would be cross claimer. I know it's not really people's favorite, but it's not just punching animations, it's their hand strength. Now, what that means is when they dive for the ball, and sometimes you'll see it, and the ball hits their fingertips and it still goes in the net, that's because of lack of the hand strength. But the goalkeepers that have this, like as a playstyle plus, normally if they even get their fingers on it, it doesn't go in. So that's why I want that one as a playstyle plus next. She is shorter. She's 5'8", even though she blocks more stuff than like Courtois and a lot of the big goalkeepers. Um, yeah, I don't know why goalkeepers are really weird. For one person, the exact same goalkeeper is totally worthless, and then the next person they work great. So I don't know what to tell you there. I've had ones that a lot of people say are great, and I use them for a while, and they're terrible, and almost everything makes it past. I don't see anyone else using her, but she works the best for me. I did put Aerial Fortress on her since she's short, and it does seem like she dives awfully far sometimes to save them. For the passing, long ball's really good for goalkeepers because obviously they're the last person at the far back. Normally I throw it to my players, but if they're trying to pin you back and they're right there guarding your players, then long ball can go over the top and help get rid of it, get it away from you. The reason I have rapid is early on in the game there was a Evo for goalkeepers that really increased their speed, and then later on there was one more that increased it by like 2 or something. So as you can see, she has high speed. So I added rapid because yeah, I can pull her out of the goal and run her down the side. I've done it a few times. See, she even has 4 goals and assists from it too. But normally for most goalkeepers, that's a big waste. So don't try doing that unless you have great speed and everything on them. But I wouldn't recommend that at all. But out of these, just try to remember short goalkeeper, or not necessarily short. If they're around 6 feet or something, get far reach. If they're one of those tall people that's like 6'4" or higher, then the priority should be footwork. And then second, play style plus, because if you had one, you probably did it based on their height and already took care of that. Second, play style plus, I'd recommend cross claimer, just because their hands will be stronger, so the stuff won't touch their hands and still go into the net. And I think that's it. I think that covers the play styles for the different positions. It doesn't really matter for me to show the rest of my players and what play styles they have, because I already told even the ones that my players don't have which ones would be preferable based on their position. So hopefully that's useful for you when you're considering Evos in the future, or which players to try out, or even though we don't have all the details yet, however FUT birthday works, because it shows something about, I think it's only in the loading screen. I don't think it'll show me here in the news, or will it show any of it? See, it shows something about the question marks and no play styles to start, but you get to choose them. I'm not sure how that's going to work. If it's only going to be a certain limited number of players, because if you look there, the middle section, they do have their play styles already. Of course the icons do, but and then the heroes do down there. That's what the middle ones are. So the bottom 3 are regular type players, and they just have question marks there. So somehow you get to choose play styles. But I don't know if that's going to be all the regular FUT birthday players, or if that's just going to be some of the FUT birthday players, like special ones. I don't know yet. I know there are leaks about the stuff, but sometimes leaks are inaccurate. Sometimes they purposely lie just so that way they can promote selling their stuff, selling their services or whatever for people trading on the market and all that. So I try to go by what I can actually see in the game by EA. So there will be something where you get to choose playstyles and playstyle pluses. So try to consider that based on the positions of the players you're trying to get and based on your team needs. There might be a great player, but you already have a great one in that position on your team, so there's no need for it. So look for ones where your team has the most need and do the play styles accordingly. So that's going to be it for this one. Hopefully it was useful for you. Catch you next time.